Hi.
Hello.
Do you want me to start again, or do you want me to? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, I love the world that you have created, and what people are asking a lot about is whether or not we're going to see more stuff underwater when the mermaids are coming, and also how you create the society that the mermaids come from, and what inspires you for that. Big questions. Yeah.
Yes, we will definitely go underwater. There's obviously been a hunger for that, with the fans, and we're bringing more mermaids onto land. So we'll tell a lot of those stories and kind of learn how the society works on land. And then in the back half of the season, we're going to get to go a little bit underwater.
Yeah, they'll be very happy to hear that.
Good. So both, First they're stuck on land for a little while. That's the first 8 episodes, but then that's where we're going.
See more? Okay.
And when they're on land, still always trying to find those moments that are really unique, like the transformation moments, stuff that we haven't seen before in the show.
And there was a moment where Ren asserted dominance at the end of season 2, and I was very curious about the hierarchy of their culture and where you might have been inspired for that.
It's the inspiration, and we are going for sure.
I mean, we always talk, in the room about biology and how it works in the natural world, and lions will come up, or elephants, and how that society works.
So we usually feed off of the real, animal kingdom to make a decision about how we want to handle it. We always try to also give it a little twist, or take different ideas.
So it's a mix of animal and mythical.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the idea that it's a matriarchal society, and what that means as they come onto land and are now in our society, and what they learn from that, and it's just really interesting stuff.
Tag teaming off of that, we're at Comic-Con, which is a superhero and heavy, and every superhero has a purpose at its time. I don't know. We're fine. Every superhero, oh my god, we're doing great. Every superhero has a purpose, like an Avenger or a Vigilante or something, and I wanted to know if you had any thoughts on why mermaids now, and why this show now, and what it offered for the larger culture.
Part of the reason, Eric wrote the pilot, I think, jump in on this too, is that the why now is that the world is changing, and global warming has changed the oceans. So that's really the why now of our story. It started off the story anyway. And the idea that Rin came to land and is so intrigued by the human world, and then to go back and talk about a history that may have gone on all these years. Sort of, we just spun off of that.
And it's interesting that we have a lot for them to learn about our world, but they also have a lot to teach us, I think.
Cool. Go ahead.
Just on the top of my head just now. So, we were just talking earlier, it's kind of come off of her question too. We always had stories about, and TV shows and movies about werewolves and vampires and witches. We've never had lore, about mermaids. We all want to see the mermaid.
No one was crazy enough to do a show in the water.
I know. Very brave.
It's all this Little Mermaid, which is animation. But how did you what made you come with this concept? We have to do more about mermaid of Siren, the good, that they're good and that they're evil. And how did you come up with the concept of making the mermaid in the show?
This was Eric's idea.
Yeah, I just think it's always so interesting to take this classic mythology that exists in every culture around the world. We've sort of, like you said, we've seen the Little Mermaid Disney versions of it, and it's just so exciting to be able to spin that on its head and give a new twist. And even our mermaids, the way they look, the classic depiction is female upper, fish tail, but ours, they're actually a unified creature. They're all one organism that looks like they really could live out there. Because I think just sort of giving our own spin to this classic mythology, while also honoring some of it and giving some, Easter eggs in there to shows like Splash, or is really fun. There is just so much mythology out there.
I do like it though when they go back into the water. It's so painful for them to turn back into, the Siren, and I like that because just a werewolf, it's painful to turn into the werewolf, and vampires, whatever. But
no, but American Werewolf in London was a huge inspiration for that.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the great transformation sequences in film history.
Yes,
they did it practically, which is amazing.
It is. I have another question. How do you balance the moments straight out of a horror film and with the ongoing drama in the show? When do you say enough horror and let's get in with some drama so we don't scare some of the audience away, but you do kind of want to bring in some hard genre fans?
Yes, because I think as cool as the horror is, and people love to see it, if you don't have the other, there's only so much people will stay with it. There's only so much you want to watch that cool thing happen over and over again without it really being about something you care about. So the way that we generally balance it is to find some really cool moments that we'd like to do, then really start to think about building story that's meaningful to get there. And we sit around the writer's room just talking about what the great balance would be. So far, I think we've found a good balance. But again, the fans are very interested in the world under the water. So that's something that we think more about. What is it about that world that we would like to show and say? So we'll do a lot more of that in season 2.
They were all also asking, just if there were going to be books or anything else. They wanted more content from Siren.
Interesting.
We're doing a novel
Okay, great.
that tells the story of what happened in Bristol Cove 150 years ago. So it's like Victorian era mermaid.
Have you announced
It's
who's
gonna be
writing that
insane.
yet?
Have we started?
Have you announced who's writing it, or?
I don't know if it's been announced. We have a draft of it.
Okay, great.
But it's going to be super cool.
Awesome.
Sort of something you mentioned in the last question about the creative process. Is there a difference in the creative process for a longer season, or is it like now you have to feed in stuff? You have longer to develop stuff, obviously, but is there also stuff that like won't come? You'll introduce early that won't come into play until.
Well, ideally, when you're telling good story, I think you never want a moment ever to happen that doesn't have anything to do with anything. Just a cool moment. We try to really pull the thread through, and if we know something that's going to happen later, we really consciously go back and try to plant it. Sometimes it's an accident. Something cool happens and we think, oh, that's it, let's use that. And sometimes it's something that's been planned on a bigger scale with more thought behind it, and we know we want to get to that.
But Emily was really smart too, and just like thinking of the season in terms of 4-episode batches and then 8 episodes. You don't go insane trying to do like all at once, but like tell a story that arcs out over the first 8, and then that kind of gets wrapped up and spins into something new. So, yeah.
So did you guys ever think that the show is going to be such a huge hit? Like when you thought about it, writing it, your first draft, and it's like, oh, let's see where this goes.
I must have felt like there was something.
You dream. No, the pilot, it always felt like it had big scope to it and felt like kind of like a movie in a way. And it always felt really exciting. But then you're so in it that you don't really step back to wonder like how it's going to do. You're just trying to keep it going. Yeah, but it's been really exciting to see the response.
So we can continue to see how the Siren, how Rin's song continues to have an effect on Ben especially, and go more into that.
Yes, it's a big story coming up actually, that Siren song, and not just how it affects Ben, but others,
Right.
and also how it affects the mermaids when they do it. And so the Siren song becomes, because it's huge in the mythology.
It's really
of
interesting,
mermaids.
yeah.
And so we're very interested in it. So we're going to tell a lot of story about it.
Besides Maddie's mom joining this season, are there any other new characters that you can tease that we can expect coming to season 2?
More mermaids. They're coming.
Yes, and they do. Some of the characters get a little bit more developed than others. Some you've seen before, so they're a little bit more advanced as well. And Helen has her own sort of encounter with others like her. And so those are new characters as well.
And we also set up at the end, Calvin makes that call to the reporter. And we kind of forget about it, and then the reporter shows up.
Right.
So we'll get into it.
So danger's coming.
Yes.
Are we going to see any more of the Haida and any of how that mythology plays in as well?
We do love the Haida culture,
Yeah.
and we speak about it. We don't go too far into it. Dale has some Haida background, and so he is always sort of the representative of, the mythology and kind of the cultural meaning behind things. So there's a little bit more of that as well in his story.
I have more. Okay, great. Yes. No, I did. I'm like, great, I've got you. Well, yeah, I wanted to know a little bit about the difference between adapting a story for water or land and what you have to take into account with your storytelling and for filming logistics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
For one. It's very complicated, obviously. We have a giant tank that everybody gets into and has So it takes them days to put it up and fill it and do all of that kind of thing. So we try to what they call cross-board. When we know 2 or 3 episodes that have those water moments in them, we try to shoot them all at one time. It's like that, and costuming and things. Visual effects, obviously, huge.
But I think story-wise, it actually plays to our advantage. It's like Jaws, where it's like the less you see the shark, the scarier it gets.
Right.
You know, so it's like we love having these moments where you're like really looking forward to like that great transformation moment or seeing them.
Yeah.
And so to be able to kind of sprinkle those throughout, I think just creates a real hunger for those. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How did you get into mermaid?
I've always loved them. I'm a writer. I write mermaid romances, and so I started a mermaid podcast to interview other authors and professional mermaids. So I'm just obsessed. Now they call me a mermaid scholar because I do so much. Yeah.
You know we're having a mermaid contest soon. So
Oh really?
Stay tuned.
I will.
Yeah.
I will have to. Oh yeah.
We gotta hook you up with Helen.
I was like, I'm gonna jump on her if she comes.
She would have. We have to keep some of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Take them all.
No, I'm just into it.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, it's become like a real like it's not even subculture anymore. It feels like part of the culture. Almost.
I predict by like next year it'll be all mermaids down there. Like it's creeping in, but
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.